And there was an article, new photos from Auschwitz have appeared. Yeah, I thought, this is interesting.
When I first saw the photographs, I got goosebumps.
History is a treasure trove of mysteries and moments frozen in time. From the shadows of war to aspects of everyday life, there are moments that history books often overlook. Imagine stumbling upon a photo that changes how you see an entire era. How did such photos escape the spotlight for so long? And what secrets do they hold about our shared human journey through time? Get ready to witness history as we explore 200 historical photos you've probably never seen. French grinders. In this photograph from 1902, French knife grinders are captured lying on their stomachs across benches, a unique practice to prevent the strain of hunching over their work all day. Harry Houdini. In a daring 1890s spectacle on Harvard Bridge, this photo captures Harry Houdini, the fearless escape artist shackled by a patrolman before plunging into icy waters. Chaos in Sweden. This iconic photo captures the historic moment in 1967 when Sweden transitioned from driving on the left to the right, California Gold Rush. In 1852, during the California Gold Rush, this photograph emerged, depicting miners immersed in the quest for fortune. Battle for victory. This snapshot from the 1933 captures Kentucky Derby, Don Meade, and Herb Fisher in the battle for victory. Historic, acrobatic. In 1934, this photograph captured the daring spectacle of acrobats balancing atop the Empire State Building, MGM magic. In 1928, this remarkable photograph captured the behind-the-scenes magic of MGM's iconic opening credits. German soldiers. In 1945, this haunting photograph captured the moment German soldiers reacted to touching footage of concentration camps. Rooftop car racing. In 1923, this remarkable photograph captured the sight of racing cars speeding atop the Fiat factory in Turin, Italy. Large hard drive. This historic photo from 1956 was captured showing a large 5-megabyte hard drive being carefully loaded onto a Pan-American plane. Douglas Bader. Pictured here in 1940 is Douglas Bader, a highly decorated RAF pilot who overcame losing both legs to become a leading ace in the Battle of Britain. Chimp sibling. This 1931 photo shows a little boy raised alongside a chimpanzee. His psychologist parents aimed to test how quickly chimps could learn human behavior. Louis Victor Bayeux. This is an 1898 photo of Louis Victor Bayeux, the last surviving soldier of the Battle of Waterloo, taken when he was 100 years old. Berlin Wall construction. This photograph from 1961 captures the construction of the Berlin Wall, symbolizing the Cold War divide between East and West Berlin. 1860s Wall Street. This historic photograph captures Wall Street in New York City during the 1860s, with horse-drawn carriages, pedestrians, and early skyscrapers. Fishing buddies. In a rare candid moment captured in 1960, this historic photograph reveals Che Guevara and Fidel Castro fishing together. Rimmel Beach Ship Graveyard. This ship graveyard at Rimmel Beach, south of Bizerte, Tunisia, was captured in December 2019 as a solemn reminder of maritime history. Floating shrine. Captured during low tide, this is a photo of the floating torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine in Japan, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ancient jail. If you've ever been curious about how jail cells appeared in ancient times, here's a glimpse. World War I selfie. In 1915, amidst the chaos of World War I, this pioneering moment captured a biplane pilot's selfie. The first McDonald's. This is a photo of the first McDonald's in the late 1930s in San Bernardino, California, first boat on Yellowstone Lake. This photograph from 1871 captures the historic moment of the first boat on Yellowstone Lake. History in Wimbledon. In 1883, Wimbledon hosted its first international tennis match, a historic moment captured in this rare photograph. Lyon Balloon Festival. The 2012 Leon International Hot Air Balloon Festival in Mexico showcased a vibrant and colorful spectacle as captured in this photo. Indian Ocean Tsunami. This photograph from 2004 captures how the Indian Ocean tsunami started. 1896 Olympic. This photograph captures the historic opening ceremony of the first modern Olympic Games in Athens, Greece in 1896. The last quagga. In 1870, this photograph documented the last living quagga, symbolizing the extinction of this unique zebra-like species. 1877 National Day. This photograph encapsulates the festive atmosphere of South Carolina's 1877 4th of July celebration. Lincoln's second address. Here's the only known photo of Abraham Lincoln's second inaugural address in 1865. Ancient fossil. Dating back to 1842, this photograph displays the skull of a Smilodon populator, an extinct species of saber-toothed predator. Old Halloween. This old Halloween picture is both funny and terrifying. Stalingrad worker. Here's a rare photograph that captures the essence of Russian workers amidst the industrial landscape of Stalingrad in 1930. First moon photo. This is the first photograph of the moon taken in 1840. Tree tunnel. These travelers drove through a tree tunnel in California in the 1880s. First Black Bikers Club. In the 1960s, Oakland, California, witnessed the formation of its first bikers club, epitomizing a culture of rebellion and community spirit in this historic photograph. Antarctic encounter. On January 3, 2018, this photograph captured a 2-hour encounter between 4 hunting orcas and a crab-eater seal, with the seal surviving. Omara Sanchez. In this touching image, we see Omara Sanchez, a young woman trapped underground following a volcanic eruption in 1985, M497. This is the American train that set the record of 180 miles per hour in 1966. Job hunting. This picture shows a man hunting for a job in the 1930s. World War I soldier. Here is a rare picture of a soldier from the First World War. The Titanic. This is the legendary Titanic in the docks of Southampton in 1912. Mickey Mouse gas mask. Have you ever heard of a Mickey Mouse gas mask? Well, here is a 1942 picture of a child using one during the Second World War. Cascades Railroad. This captivating photograph captures the 1885 railroad in the rugged beauty of the Cascades. Old horror movie. This picture is proof that horror movies have been a thing for a long time. Here we have a BTS picture of an actor in the 1922 horror movie Nosferatu. Well-dressed beggar. This well-dressed beggar was captured running King George V's carriage in 1920. Funny soldiers. You would be shocked that this is a picture of soldiers during the First World War, not actors or comedians. Al Capone. This is Al Capone in a bathing suit in 1929. Giant centipede. How huge do you think centipedes get? Here you have the picture of a U.S. soldier holding a giant centipede during the Vietnam War in 1967. Martin Luther Jr. This is a rare photo of Martin Luther King Jr. at the 1963 Washington March. NASA engineers. These engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory were photographed comparing 3 Mars rover generations in December 2011. Vladimir Lenin. This is the last photo taken of Vladimir Lenin in 1923. Here he had 3 strokes and was completely mute. Trevi Fountain. This is the Trevi Fountain in Rome, a grand Baroque landmark built in the 18th century by Nicola Salvi and Giuseppe Panini. Touching reunion. This German girl was meeting her father, a World War I soldier for the first time since in 1956. Friedensengel Fountain. The Friedensengel Fountain in Munich depicts a woman on a bull symbolizing water's healing and a man on a horse symbolizing its destructive power, built in 1895. Statue of Liberty. This photo shows the beginning of the construction of the Statue of Liberty. in 1885. Ancient mask. This mask from the Kuba Kingdom around 1900 represents mythical figures Woot, Woot's spouse, and Boom, each with different identities. Titanic tragedy. In this photo, a priest is praying for the victims of the Titanic in 1912. Niederwald-Denkmal Monument. This is a photo of the Niederwald-Denkmal Monument in Germany, erected in 1883, which honors German unification. The apple. This photo shows Apple, India's first communication satellite, being transported manually in 1981. Rosalind Carter. Here is a signed photograph from 1978 featuring First Lady Rosalind Carter alongside John Wayne Gacy. Police Farley shootout. This photo was taken during a shootout between the police and George Farley in 1938. Old mannequins. Long ago, mannequin makers were adept at creating dolls that closely resembled humans. These figures are indeed mannequins, not actual people hiding behind a door. National Cat Contestant. This is a rare photo from the National Cat Club show in London in 1931. Ed Gein. If you've ever wondered about the chilling presence of Ed Gein, this is how he appeared among security guards. Girl and Easter chocolate. Here's a photo of a little treating herself to a chocolate Easter egg back in 1938, sinking ship. This photograph from 1978 captures a ship sinking off the coast of Brittany. West Berlin children. This photo taken in 1961, West Berlin shows their children who live on the western side, enjoying a storm. These children might seem like characters from a surreal painting, but they were simply enjoying an electric storm at a California national park in 1975. Men with hats. This picture looks like an amazing piece of painting. It's actually a photo from 1930 in New York showing men wearing hats. Kimono Forest. This photo of the Kimono Forest, located in Kyoto, Japan, was taken in June 2019. The forest illuminates at night with nearly 600 kimono gowns encircling poles with LED lighting inside. Nikola Tesla. This is the final photograph of American inventor Nikola Tesla, taken in 1943. Crash survivors. In 1972, these individuals survived a plane crash and chose to commemorate the event with a photograph. It's quite a moment to capture. Bumper cars. These two bumper cars are sitting in an abandoned theme park in Pripyat, Ukraine. Pripyat has remained deserted since the Chernobyl nuclear power plant accident in late April 1986. German helmets. This picture resembles a piece of expensive artwork, but in reality it's a stack of helmets taken from German soldiers after World War I. Ferry to the Battery. This is an 1895 photo of Ferry to the Battery Park in New York City. Manuel. Here is a young shrimp picker named Manuel in a 1912 photo. New Orleans. This street scene was photographed in New Orleans in 1895. Titanic survivors. This is a touching picture of Titanic survivors boarding the Carpathia in 1912. Factory kids. Here we have some kids working in a factory far back in 1912. The decisive moment. This famous photo of a man jumping over water was taken by the French photographer Henri Cartier-Bresson behind the Saint-Lazare train station in Paris. Royal photo. You don't get to see the family portrait of a monarch all the time. This is the portrait of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia and his family in 1913. Daredevil lunch. This image captures workers enjoying a daredevil lunch break atop a skyscraper sometime around 1940. Butlins Holiday Camp. This is a picture of everyday life at Butlins Holiday Camp, Filey, Yorkshire, England in 1945. 12 red coats are captured striding towards the camera in preparation for their day's work. World War II aftermath. This romantic photo captures Alfred Eisenstadt in New York's Times Square, documenting the celebrations marking the end of World War II. Queen Elizabeth. Here's Queen Elizabeth holding an umbrella and waving, seated with King George VI during their royal visit to Washington, D.C. in 1955. Indian soldiers. These are Indian troops arriving in France back in 1914. Gandhi. Margaret Bourke White, a renowned 20th century photographer, captured Gandhi and the spinning wheel in this iconic photo taken 2 years before his death, burning monk. On June 11, 1963, in a street in Saigon, Vietnam, Monk Thich Quang Duc self-immolated in protest against the South Vietnamese government's discrimination toward Buddhists. Napalm civilians. Vietnamese photographer Nick Ut captured this chilling photograph on June 8, 1972, after a U.S. plane mistakenly napalmed the village of Trong Bang, injuring many civilians. Kennedy Jr. This endearing photograph from 1963 depicts young John F. Kennedy Jr. eagerly awaiting his father, President John F. Kennedy, to arrive at Camp David, Maryland. Sudan famine. In 1993, South African photojournalist Kevin Carter journeyed to Sudan to capture scenes of famine. This photograph depicts a collapsed child with a vulture nearby. Afghan refugee. During a 1984 trip to Afghanistan to document the migration of Afghan refugees, Steve McCurry captured the famous photograph of 17-year-old Sharbat Gula. September 11th, photographer Lyle Owerko, known for his diverse work from Sundance Channel to Time to MTV, captured the tragic image of the September 11th, 2001 attack. Social inequality. Javier Baulus won the Pulitzer Prize for this famous photo, highlighting stark social inequality. It shows two tourists seated passively in front of the lifeless body of a migrant who had sought to reach Europe. Sinclair C5. This Sinclair C5 small electric tricycle debuted in the UK in 1985 for short-distance urban travel, powered by a battery with pedal assistance. DDT spray. This photograph depicts a woman being sprayed with DDT powder in 1945 upon her liberation from an enemy camp, as she could potentially carry lice responsible for spreading typhus. Colin Evans. This is Colin Evans, an early 20th century Welsh spiritualist medium who claimed the ability to levitate but was later exposed as a fraud. Brave man. This iconic image shows a young Chinese man confronting tanks during the 1989 Tiananmen Square uprising. Lucky Filipino. In 1960, the USS Triton embarked on a covert mission to circumnavigate the globe underwater. Here is a photograph of a Filipino man, the only individual to see the submarine. The screenshot. This cropped screenshot from the 1959 film Some Like It Hot features Tony Curtis, Jack Lemmon, and Marilyn Monroe. Friendly inmate. This touching image shows a man passing his toy train to another inmate before he was unjustly taken to a gas chamber. Rosanna Podesta. This is actress Rosanna Podesta pictured during the 7th Venice International Film Festival in Venice, Italy, 1956. Bison skulls. This photograph captures a pile of bison skulls in a Michigan factory, destined for bone coal, fertilizers, and other products. Bikini models. These bikini models were captured running on the beach in Pensacola, Florida in 1968. Barbary lion. In 1925, a man flying over the Atlas Mountains captured this photograph of a wild Barbary lion, one of the last documented before their extinction. Cypress Gardens. This is water skier Joan Turbot at Cypress Gardens in Winter Haven, Florida, in June 1951. Young soldier. In this heartbreaking scene, captured in 1945, we see a 16-year-old German soldier who has been captured, evoking a profound sense of the human toll and the personal tragedies endured during wartime. Bold display. In this photograph, an exotic dancer defiantly displays her oversized underwear to prove that it was too substantial to expose herself. She had been apprehended by an undercover police officer in Florida. Laurel and Hardy, the iconic comedic duo of early classical Hollywood cinema, known for their slapstick routines, were pictured together in 1938. Friendly officer. In this heartwarming snapshot from 1970, a police officer in New York City engages in a game of duck, duck, goose with children, fostering a sense of community in an urban setting. War medics. This photo is from the British Medical Services during the Second World War. A soldier with a fractured tibia and fibula receives skeletal traction at a specialist orthopedic center in Cairo, Egypt, in September 1942. Caring GI. In this touching moment captured in 1944, a GI generously shares his rations with 2 Italian children, highlighting compassion amidst wartime hardships. Dockyard operations. A London dockyard scene during the Second World War depicts dockers transferring goods between merchant ships and river barges using hand, vehicle, and crane. Brutal guard. In this photograph, a former prisoner identifies the most brutal guard in Germany in 1945. Returning home. This is a British soldier and his dog aboard a ship bound for England after evacuation from France with the British Expeditionary Force during the Second World War. Perfect comfort. In this heartwarming scene from 1940, a baby lamb finds comfort as it snuggles up to a sleeping boy, creating a serene and tender moment captured in time. Great Depression. This photograph captures possibly the largest queue for a job interview during the Great Depression. McKinley girls. In 1946, these girls at McKinley High School in Chicago were sent home for wearing slacks and blue jeans, sparking a debate on dress codes and gender norms in schools during that era. Oldest Indian. This is John Smith, known as the oldest Indian, spanned 3 centuries, born in the 18th century, living through the 19th, and passing away in the 20th century, allegedly living for 137 years. Happy boy. This photograph captures an Australian boy's emotional reaction upon receiving new shoes during World War II. Seance levitation. In this photograph, a musical instrument appears to levitate during a seance, purportedly to communicate with the deceased. Hardworking kids. Jewel Walker, a dedicated 6-year-old girl in 1961, earned recognition as the hardest-working child in history, picking 20 to 50 pounds of cotton daily. Here is her younger brother in the same field during the same year. Iconic circus. In this photograph taken at a circus in 1926, a woman is lifted by 2 elephants. Oysters girls. This photograph from 1909 portrays 3 young girls employed as oyster shuckers. Soviet troops. This photograph shows Soviet troops climbing over graffiti inside the Reichstag after capturing Berlin in 1945. Sad dog. In this photograph, a dog bids farewell to his fallen U.S. soldier companion during the Afghan War in 2004. Shy lady. This bashful young woman was captured smiling for the camera 143 years ago, reading troops. In June 1944, troops of the 51st Highland Division aboard a landing craft heading for Normandy were captured reading booklets on France before embarkation. Old Black Joe. In 1905, Joe Fortes, Vancouver's inaugural lifeguard, is pictured. Originally from Trinidad and Tobago, Fortes, acclaimed for rescuing numerous lives, earned the nickname Old Black Joe. 1936. Christmas. Here's a glimpse of Christmas dinner in 1936. Paavo Nurmi. Paavo Nurmi makes his entrance into the Helsinki Olympic Stadium through the Marathon Gate during the opening ceremonies of the 1952 Olympics, where he famously became the first prominent athlete to light the Olympic cauldron. Snowbathing. In 1899, a lady and her horse are captured snowbathing, highlighting a playful moment between human and animal. 1900 Olympic. At the 1900 Olympic Games, a Scandinavian mixed team triumphs over the French in a memorable tug-of-war competition. Family portrait. In this 1900 photograph from Georgia, USA, a family poses in a meadow, capturing a serene moment of rural American life during the turn of the century. Watching ship. Witnessing tall ships was a rare spectacle in the 1800s, as depicted in this image of a woman and her daughter marveling at the majestic vessels. Snowy wait. Children wait patiently in the snow for admission into the orphan city, a daily sight from early morning until late at night during the 1920s after the Armenian genocide. Smoking pipe. This photo captures how old folks of the 1800s found joy in simple pleasures. 1952, train crash. The aftermath of the Harrow and Wealdstone train crash is captured in this scene photo, depicting the triple train collision during the morning rush hour on October 8, 1952. Homecoming. In 1945, the ship Queen Elizabeth docked at the port of New York, carrying soldiers returning from World War II. 1800s London. A typical rainy night in 1800s London is portrayed in this photograph, illustrating the atmospheric conditions of historical urban life. Isaac Sprague. Isaac W. Sprague, pictured here at age 26 in 1867, was a sideshow performer known as the living human skeleton who worked in P.T. Barnum's Freak Show. Albert Einstein. In this 1884 photograph, Albert Einstein is just a 5-year-old boy, and no one could have predicted his future brilliance. Minnie Woolsey. Minnie Woolsey, known as Cuckoo the Bird Girl, was an American sideshow performer in the early 20th century. She gained fame for her role in the 1932 film Freaks, due to her rare condition, Virchow-Seckel syndrome, which gave her a distinctive bird-headed dwarfism appearance. Roman baths. The Roman baths in Bath, England, dating back to around 70 AD, are among the UK's most popular tourist attractions. These ancient baths are supplied by natural hot springs, still delivering over 1.1 million liters of steaming water daily. Empire State Building. Here is how the Empire State Building stood out against the backdrop of other buildings in 1951. Niagara Falls. This photo of Niagara Falls, captured in 1911, offers a breathtaking view of nature's frozen beauty. Abraham Lincoln's transformation. This collage shows Abraham Lincoln in 1861 and 1865, highlighting a noticeable contrast over 4 years against the backdrop of war. 5 points. This image provides a glimpse into New York City's infamous 5 Points slum in 1872, depicting the gritty reality of urban poverty. Dyatlov Pass Tent. This broken tent from the Dyatlov Pass campers offers a haunting reminder of the mysterious incident that captured global attention in 1959. Ancient Fisherman. This photograph captures an elderly fisherman in Bergen, Norway, taken in 1902 by Anders Beer Wills. The Futurama exhibit. The Futurama exhibit was a popular attraction at the 1939 World's Fair, featuring futuristic cities, transportation systems, and technologies. Visitors enjoyed a simulated ride through a detailed miniature model, offering a glimpse into a utopian world of progress and innovation. Luxury train. This photo of a train's interior from the 1800s looks more like a grand palace hallway than a way to get around. The natural light enhances the elegance of the space, transforming it into something truly magnificent. Smiling Kitten. In 1955, the celebrated photographer Walter Chandoha captured one of his most iconic images, a heartwarming shot of his young daughter, Paula, and a tiny kitten both smiling at the camera. Legendary physicists. In July 1931, a remarkable moment in scientific history was captured in a photograph. Seated in the front row at a session of the Physical Society in Berlin were 3 of the greatest minds of the 20th century: Robert William Wood, Max Planck, and Albert Einstein. First self-portrait. Robert Cornelius likely made the first successful photographic self-portrait in 1839, using an improvised camera obscura and an exposure time of about 10 minutes. Nagasaki. The tragedy that struck Nagasaki is a well-known story, but not everyone has had the chance to see what the city looked like during those harrowing times. Here's a glimpse into that moment in history. Club dancers. This captivating photo captures a moment in New York City, way back in 1958. Inside a lively nightclub, a group of dancers paused their moves to engage in a friendly game of chess. Scottish Piper. Here is a Scottish piper in a traditional kilt, standing bravely on the battlefield during World War I. Prime Ministers. In this photo from 1973, taken in Ottawa, Canada's Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau is holding his young son, Justin Trudeau, who would grow up to become the future Prime Minister of Canada. Strong mom. In this photograph from 1944, a determined mother, along with her son while her husband fixes the car while her husband is away at war. Hollywoodland sign. This original Hollywoodland sign eventually evolved into the Hollywood sign we know today. Down syndrome. In this photograph from the 1890s, we see a man with Down syndrome. Bold test. In 1923, this man tested the efficacy of a bulletproof vest by allowing someone to shoot him in the chest. Fortunately, the vest worked. Young couple. In this photograph, a youthful couple stands beside a speed limit sign in Oklahoma during the 1920s. Disneyland plan. In this photo, Walt Disney presents plans for Disneyland to Orange County officials in December 1954. Disneyland opened in California on July 17, 1955. Snowball fight. This photograph, taken in January 1921, shows supporters of the Republican and Democratic parties engaging in a spirited snowball fight outside the Capitol in Washington. San Diego traffic light. The installation of a traffic signal in San Diego, California in December 1940 marked a significant event. Star Wars premiere. In this photograph, people are waiting eagerly in line for the premiere of the Star Wars movie in Vancouver back in 1977. First space selfie. Buzz Aldrin took the first space selfie during the Gemini 12 mission in 1966. Roman aqueduct. Behold this captivating photograph from 1904 showcasing the ancient Roman aqueduct of Segovia, Spain. First lesbian couple. This rare photograph captures a momentous event, the first public image of a lesbian couple taken at Le Monaco, Paris in 1932. Japanese officers. This rare photograph from 1886 captures Japanese officers. The image was skillfully captured by Felice Beato, a renowned photographer of that era. Hungarian Jews. In this photo, Hungarian Jews are being chosen by Nazis to be taken to the Auschwitz concentration camp in May 1944. Amelia Earhart. Meet Amelia Earhart, a trailblazing aviator who achieved a historic milestone by becoming the first woman to fly alone across the Atlantic Ocean. Zuikaku crew. In 1944, as the Japanese carrier Zuikaku faced its final moments, its crew, with unyielding resolve, rallied together for one last spirited banzai cheer before the vessel sank. Daleks. In 1964, the Daleks made an unusual visit to Cardiff, Wales, accompanied by Inspector Glyn Pocket, creating quite a stir in the small town. The Gadget. This photograph from 1945 captures a historic moment, the first atomic bomb ever created, nicknamed the Gadget. Parisians' liberation. This photo captures jubilant Parisians celebrating the liberation of their city from Nazi occupation in August 1944. Social divide. This photograph vividly captures the profound social divides that marked British society in the 1930s. First selfie stick. In a fascinating glimpse into the past, we discover an early instance of a selfie stick being used back in the 1940s. F1 engines. Here stands Dr. Werner von Braun, alongside a towering array of 5 F1 engines, each a marvel of engineering prowess. Homebound hero. In this photograph, we see an American soldier returning home after the Great War around 1919. Boston Marathon. Here, spectators immediately aided victims after the Boston Marathon terrorist attack on April 15, 2013, when 2 homemade bombs near the finish line killed 3 people and injured hundreds. Young Marine. Behold this captivating image of a young Marine in Da Nang, Vietnam, taken on August 3, 1965. First bikini. Micheline Bernardini wore the first bikini in 1946 for designer Louis Rayard, as he couldn't find a suitable model and chose the 19-year-old nude dancer from the Casino de Paris to display it. She holds a small box into which the entire costume can be packed. Hearing aid. In 1974, Harold Whittles experienced a remarkable moment, the first time he heard sound through a hearing aid. Imagine his astonishment and joy as the world around him filled with previously unknown sounds. Iconic moment. This photo captures the awkward encounter between Italian actress Sophia Loren and American actress Jane Mansfield at a Hollywood party in 1957. Loren's side-eye glance at Mansfield's revealing cleavage became legendary. Sir Arthur Doyle. Behold this rare photograph of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the genius behind Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective. Samurai warriors. This photograph captures a group of samurai warriors believed to have been taken sometime between 1860 and 1880. Ham, a chimpanzee, became the first hominid in space in 1961, paving the way for human spaceflight. Cowboy. This photograph from the 1890s portrays a solitary cowboy. Wealthy family. A wealthy family portrait from the 1880s captures the opulence and status symbols of the era, including a horse and a grand log house. Rescue drama. Paul Overby, one of two drivers trapped in a truck cab, was rescued by rope on the Pitt River Bridge over Lake Shasta near Redding, California on 1953, moments before the vehicle plunged and caught fire. Soup kitchen. During the Great Depression, this soup kitchen owned by Al Capone served free coffee and donuts. Detroit family. An ordinary family from Detroit, Michigan during the 1950s. Ernest Hemingway. Here is Ernest Hemingway with one of his six-toed cats in 1954. Wild Bill. This is William Wild Bill Hobson, an airmail pilot with the U.S. Mail Service based in Omaha, Nebraska in 1926. Walking library. In this vintage photograph, a woman strolls while renting out books as a walking library. Victorian home. Here's a Victorian home being transported by horsepower in San Francisco, California, USA in 1908. Which of these iconic photographs do you find most captivating? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.